Hello colleagues and welcome to the Hilton America Security and Safety Inspection video. The purpose of this inspection is to comprehensively learn the security policies and procedures that one specific hospitality property has and how it could be improved. The inspection was conducted by Carla Acosta, Marissa Hill, and Danny Xie. Hilton Americas opened in December of 2003 and is currently located in the vibrant and newly renovated Convention Center district of Houston, Texas. There are currently 1,203 rooms on 25 floors with plans to increase the current number of guest rooms. Anthony Lewis, Assistant Director of Security and Life Safety, was our point of contact for this inspection. This inspection encompasses many facets of security and safety, including but not limited to the surrounding medical facilities, fire safety, law enforcement, security personnel, evacuation procedures, public access areas, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and food and beverage areas. We will conclude this presentation with any recommendations that we have. We will begin our discussion with the Hilton Americas medical facilities and operations. No one can really predict when a medical emergency will occur, but there are safeguards that facilities can have in place for its guests that will provide a sense of safety and care to any and all patrons. In the event of an emergency, directions, average response times, and other important information is posted on the back of the guest room doors. St. Joseph's Medical Center is the closest hospital to the Hilton Americas. It is a Level 3 trauma center which is equipped for prompt assessment, resuscitation, surgery, intensive care, and stabilization of injured patients and emergency operations. The average response time of EMS, emergency medical services, is 5 to 8 minutes on average. Should a guest become ill in the hotel, but it is not an emergency, the concierge desk does have the list of preferred providers in the area that guests may choose from. The hotel will be installing AEDs, automated external defibrillators, in the near future. However, there are AEDs on the adjacent parking garage, as well as the George R. Brown Convention Center. We do recommend training all hotel staff to be CPR certified. We will now move on to fire safety and law enforcement. Although not a common occurrence, fires can erupt at any time in any place. Since no one knows when a fire could happen, it is best to be proactive and take precautionary measures to mitigate your fire risk. Fire Station 10 is the closest fire station to the Hilton Americas. It is located 2 miles away from the property. The closest police station is less than 1 mile away from the property, and it is located at the corner of the Convention Center. All areas of the hotel are outfitted with smoke detectors and sprinkler systems that are tested at least once annually. Fire extinguishers can also be found throughout the property, some covered while others are not. Fire hose stations can be located on guest floors as well as on banquet levels. In the event of a power outage, generators will kick on to continue to power for guest rooms. We will now move on to security personnel. Not all situations call for police presence, but for guest and patron safety, there is a security team on site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at the Hilton Americas. The security team can be directly contacted via telephone or in person. There are at least 4 staff members on duty at all times, and guests can see them on foot or vehicle patrol in and around the hotel. These security team members are non-commissioned, but they are in uniform. The security team also manages access to the building. Most doors to the building do remain open. However, the revolving doors all close at 11 p.m. Guests and other visitors must use other entrances. For added safety, guests have in-room safes in addition to the safety deposit boxes at the front of the desk that they may choose to utilize. Viewfinders can also be found in each guest room. The entire property is under surveillance with over 500 cameras. They are all viewed on closed-circuit television. Surveillance is audio only, and the recordings are kept for a maximum of 3 months. Criminal background checks are completed on all employees that have access to guest rooms to ensure guest and staff safety. We recommend that security be given safe ways to improve response times. We will now discuss the Hilton Americas evacuation procedures. Some situations require an evacuation in the case of an emergency or crisis. The Hilton Americas has an emergency management plan that is inclusive to all guests. Should an evacuation occur, these are coordinated by the Houston Fire Department. Special considerations are taken for guests who have special needs. The hotel has evacu-track chairs that evacuate these guests in a safer, more expeditious manner. Emergency exit signs can be found over the tops of doors as well as on the floor, as mentioned previously, should there be a fire. And guests must resort to crawling on the floor. They will still have a way out with an emergency sign at their level. There is also an active shooter response plan in place. All staff members must complete an annual training to be prepared should this case ever arise. As aforementioned, important emergency information, such as evacuation plans, can be located on the back of guest room doors. We will now discuss the public access areas. Digital guest information that can be relayed over wireless internet access is kept protected and confidential with restricted access. The building is smoke-free except for designated areas that guests may use. In years previous, guests were allowed to smoke inside the property, but that is no longer the case. There are several phones located throughout the property for guests to use in case of an emergency. The pool area, while a public area, is not intended for 24-hour occupation. It is generally open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. There is some variability in that time frame. It is maintained and cleaned by hotel staff daily. The water is tested at least 3 times daily for quality assurance purposes. There is no lifeguard on duty, and there is signage around the entire perimeter alerting guests of this. Should an event occur, there is an emergency equipment readily available, such as a shepherd hook, life preserver, and others. The pool is in compliance with the Graham-Baker Pool Act. Recommendations for the public access areas are installing a small memo stating in case of emergency dial 911 above all phones, ensuring that all fire station hoses have hoses inside, and to include keys with an RFID envelope. Next, we will discuss how the Hilton Americas complies with the Americans with Disabilities Act. The Hilton Americas Houston is in compliance with the Americans with Disability Act of 1993. If needed, the security team has wheelchairs available to any guest who may need the assistance of one. Also, there is Braille on wayfinding signage throughout the property as well. We will now discuss the food and beverage areas. All food and beverage areas staff are certified in the responsible service of alcohol through the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. All kitchen employees are certified in food safe handling and educated on proper hand washing. Ingredient lists for all food and drink items are available upon requests. We would recommend that the Hilton Americas have their own in-house inspection in place at least every other week to ensure everyone is in compliance with the Texas Food Establishment rules. We will now go over our conclusions of this presentation. Numerous areas that fall under the umbrella of safety, and this inspection was created in such a way that it could examine those many detailed areas. We would like to note the areas discussed in this presentation where no recommendations were needed, such as their fire safety and law enforcement protocols, their evacuation procedures, and their compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. While the Hilton Americas does do well in these areas as well, we hope they would consider our recommendations in terms of their medical facilities, their security personnel, public access areas, and their food and beverage areas. This inspection was created with travel managers in mind, as they need to be confident that their people will be safe when staying at any property. We hope you were enlightened by our review, and hopefully you are more knowledgeable about safety and security. Thank you.